Welcome to Northern Lights, a new online chat show focusing on football in the north and northeast of Scotland. My name is Martin Johnston, and each week I'll be joined by our resident journalist and fellow Rothisloon, Dave Edwards. Also joining Dave and I each week will be three well-known names from North football, both from the past and the present. Just a few guys reminiscing about the good old days and from time to time giving a distanced opinion on the modern game. A bit like Soccer AM meets the Antique Roadshow. For this, only our second show, we are joined by two guests from either side of the Great Buchan Divide. Our first guest this evening really needs no introduction. Billy Gordon has a playing career second to none, having seen service with Peterborough across 4 decades. He made his Brock debut back in 1986 and made a record-breaking 721 club appearances before finally hanging up his gloves in 2010. He was honoured with a testimonial match back in 2000-2001 when Peterhead provided the opposition, and Sir Jack Charlton spoke at his testimonial dinner. One of only a few players to have won a full set of Highland League medals, Billy's glittering array of medals include 1 League Championship, 2 League Cups, 2 Qualifying Cups, 1 Aberdeenshire Cup, and 5 Aberdeenshire Shields. Welcome, Billy Gordon.
Thank you, Martin.
Our second guest this evening, Blue Toon legend Colin Grant. Colin's footballing career started in 1964-65 with Linlithgow Rose, and for whom he scored that season in a 4-1 Scottish Junior Cup final victory at Hampden against Baillieston. That same season, he scored on his Scottish Junior International debut versus Ireland, and he bagged a total of 55 goals that year, resulting in him putting pen to paper for Jock Stein at Hibs. He went full-time with Hibs the following season, making his debut in March 1966 against Hearts at Tynecastle in a Scottish Cup tie in front of a crowd of 32,000. Colin netted 15 goals and 45 first-team appearances for Hibs and played against the likes of Porto, Napoli and Lokomotiv Leipzig. After 2 cartilage operations, Hibs released Colin in 1971 and he signed for Chelmsford City in the English Southern Premier League, where he scored 30 goals in his first season en route to picking up a league winner's medal. In 1974, his job took him to Aberdeen, when he signed for Peterhead and he scored a hat-trick on his debut against Brora Rangers. In 1975, Colin was appointed Peterhead's first ever player manager, and during his time in charge, he won both Qualifying Cup and the Aberdeenshire Cup 3 times in 5 years. Colin would suffer a broken leg, however, funnily enough against the Broch in 1978, and he left the Blue Toon 2 years later. Colin, however, returned to the club in 1987, and a year later he was appointed chairman. And during his term of office, he oversaw 2 of the biggest events in the club's history: the 1997 move from Recreation Park to Balmoor Stadium, and then entry to the Scottish Football League in the year 2000. After his Peterhead chairmanship, from 2004 to 2014, Colin was head of scouting for Aberdeen Football Club. But last summer, he was persuaded to return to the Blue Toon, where he now has a role as a match day ambassador. Welcome, Colin Grant.
Hi, Martin. Thanks for asking me.
Our third and final guest tonight is former referee Mike Pocock. Mike actually started refereeing at the tender age of 14, but as a young man, after a spell as a player in the junior and amateur ranks, Mike's refereeing career progressed fairly quickly. And after 1 season in the amateurs and 2 seasons in the juniors, Mike made the senior list and was promoted to Category 1 in 1990. During his career, Mike officiated at 5 Aberdeenshire Cup finals, 2 North of Scotland Cup finals, 2 Highland League Cup finals, and a Qualifying Cup final as a 4th official. Mike's career also saw him receive 25 European appointments to 22 countries as far apart as Georgia and the Faroe Islands. Notable European appointments include Cyprus versus Russia, PSV Eindhoven versus FC Porto, and Austria Vienna versus Barcelona. Welcome, Mike Pocock.
Thanks, Martin.
Right, gentlemen, welcome. Thanks for coming along. I've got to say, before we get any further, the opening credits, the photographs that appeared, Colin, your photo was taken from a chewing gum card from about 1970 sometime. And I've got to ask a question: Were you subject to social isolation in the 70s? Was there a cut your hair at home format?
No, I'm older than that, Martin. It was actually the 60s because it was Beatlemania time, if you remember.
Well, no, I didn't remember, but nevertheless, for the benefit of folk my age, the Beatles were a group were fairly successful in the 1960s. Dave, I'm going to have to ask you a wee question here. What does the number 679 mean to you?
679, Martin.
Yeah.
That's a tricky one. How's about, it was a number of people at McKessick Park the last time Rothes played there when they beat Formartine 2-0 in the Highland League a couple of months ago.
Oh, good answer. Very good answer. But no, it's actually the number of people who watched the first show last week on YouTube.
Very good.
Now, to be perfectly honest, Dave, when we had this conversation a week past Monday, within 2 days we'd done the first show, I'd anticipated getting 12 to 30 folk, maybe. I mean, I didn't even ken 679 folk, so I think that's maybe a vote of approval from football fans in the north and northeast. Would you say?
Yes,
so we've maybe started something. Yeah.
Well done.
I appreciate it's a bit of an amateur run effort, but we wouldn't have it any other way. It wouldn't be it wouldn't be me and Dave otherwise. But we're not out to be the next Jonathan Rosses. We just want to have the opportunity to, as a collective, sit down with people who have played the game, officiated in the game, run clubs, run leagues, not just in the Highland League, but amateurs, welfare, juniors, etc., and collect all these stories so that everybody else out there can benefit from them. So with everybody's blessing, we'll continue on that vein. I'm going to kickstart things tonight by, I'm not really going to apologise for the lengthy introduction I gave Colin Grant. I'm not being biased because I'm at Peterhead myself. It's because, Colin, you kind of had 4 different careers over the years. You've been a player, you were a manager, you were a chairman, and then you were a scout.
Yes, Martin, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, I can assure you. I've been involved in football for a long, long time. I started way back in the Bowness originally, and started with a juvenile club in Bowness Thistle. But signing for Linlithgow, my mates were all Bowness United supporters, and Bowness and Linlithgow 3 miles apart, as you can imagine. I was not the most favourite, their most favourite football player at the time, signing for the fiercest rivals. Anyway, I had one season with Linlithgow Rose, and what a season that was really. We won the Junior Cup, as you said, beat Bayless in the final, and halfway through that season, we beat Blantyre in the Junior Cup, and the Blantyre chairman was a friend of John Steen's. I think that's how I ended up at Easter Road. I'm not sure, but I think that's how it was. And the arrangement was that I was to be called up when Linlithgow were put out of the Junior Cup. But of course, we went all the way to the final, and I was there for the whole season. But during that time, I was training full time at Easter Road. So that's how it came about.
And I suppose, in contrast, Dave, Billy Gordon, and you're the expert on the Highland League careers, where Colin had a varied career. Billy Gordon was a one-club man.
Very much a one-club man. 721 appearances. What a magnificent record for the Broch. I had the great honour of being MC at Billy's testimonial just into the 2000s, like 2001, 2002, something like that. And the main speaker was Sir Jackie Charlton, who came up, and that was a huge accolade for Billy to have Sir Jackie at his dinner. And it was only right, because Billy Gordon is a Broch legend. There's nothing else you can say about it. Magnificent goalkeeper, great on 1-on-1s. Anybody 1-on-1 against Billy Gordon, I would have bet on Billy coming away with the ball rather than somebody putting the ball past him. Billy was brilliant at 1-on-1s, and an all-round good guy as well.
That was there. Yeah, fair career. As I said, it's like But go back in the day I was brought up playing league football. As a kid, I was a Peterhead boy. Watching Peterhead, my father was an Elgin City fan, and he trailed us up to Elgin every other weekend. So to actually finally playing Hine League was a fantastic for me. I never ever thought I could aspire to be that level. As I was playing at amateurs, and I left school, couldn't get a game. Was playing amateurs with Ellen Thistle and then alongside, and it was Charlie come along and invited me to train. And trained 2 years before that, so I was actually with the club for about 85. Charlie had took faith and I was invited along, so yeah, it was great. And then I was to be, my first game was going to be in '86 against Bucky. Neil was going in for an operation. And I knew for weeks before that I was going to be playing. It was a nightmare. My forearm went just downhill rapidly. Just thinking about this coming along. Spooky were a fantastic side at that time with George Stephen, Robbie Nichol, Les Mason, these guys, Alec Innes in the goal. They were a fantastic side. Played, we got beat 3-0. So I did okay. And yeah, the rest is history. I didn't play again for another sort of year and a half, although I was always training with the guys. And then Neil was leaving to go to Devon Vale, took that job as player coach. And Charlie wanted me to go along and be the next guy. And all the fans are going, who's going to take over from Neil? Because they hadn't seen me really. And there was a big concern on who that would be. But the team was brilliant because I had been there for a year and a half, so I knew most of the guys and slotted in as Charlie wanted me to sign a professional for him. I said, no, I'll sign an amateur for him because I wasn't too sure if I would cut the mustard. I didn't believe I could be there by the end of August, to be perfectly honest with you. And I thought, well, if I'm still amateur, at least I can get away and get back to play amateur football. And he wasn't hearing that, as you know, Charlie, very persuasive, and I signed the professional for him, and the rest is history. And I've loved every minute of it. I've loved every minute of it. Loved being there. Great club. And you can tell by the amount of testimonials that have been over the years. It's unprecedented the amount of guys that have testimonials in the last few years since mine. Mine was over 19 years ago now. And there's just a conveyor belt of guys that have testimonials. I can know how many testimonials I've played in. And since I've left, Graham Jones has had one, I think Paul Leastew this year. So it's a testimony to the club, the way it's been run over the past 30 years, which was started by Charlie and has been followed on by Chris and Mark. Very much their own ideas, but very much the same sort of ethos behind it. And yeah, brilliant club, absolutely fantastic people within it, has been, still is. Love it to bits.
And Dave, obviously that's footballing careers, but refereeing careers, what's your take on longevity of referees?
But before I go there, I'll mention one thing about Billy Gordon. He mentioned his late dad, Jasper Gordon, great Elgin City fan. Jasper said to me, it's quite good, Billy, playing the black and white stripe strip, but he's playing for the wrong bloody team, he says. Should be for Elgin City.
Well, there's a funny story. Well, I think there's a funny story there. 89, 90, the year that Pelly was in charge, I was in the long in the Hine League. I'd just maybe a year. I think it was maybe my second season. I think it was. And Elgin City were really struggling with goalkeepers that season. Fantastic side all the way through. I think Joe McGinley, Teasdale, Ali Jaffe, absolutely. They basically wiped the floor with everybody that year. But Mick Ewer, I think he got injured, but he was leaving the club and they were struggling for it. They needed a new goalkeeper. And my dad was involved. He knew the chairman at the time, and he said that Pelly was interested. He liked what he seen from me, and he was prepared to go and sign me. So I said, well, that was kind of not really how it works, but I says he needs to go through Charlie, and they duly did when got the usual response, as you can imagine. But the discussion was had, and I then, I mean, to be honest with you, I wasn't along. I was pretty naive, young, and I was just into the game. So it'd have been another 5 years in a different conversation. But it didn't happen, and I'd said to my dad, well, actually fell out about it, to be honest with you, because it wouldn't be you would have to travel up to Elgin two nights a week training, and it was an hour and a half, 2 hours during the week and that, and it really just, it didn't work out, so it just didn't happen. And honestly, my dad went to his grave, I tell you, to the day he went to his grave, he he was not happy with that outcome, and he brought it up on numerous occasions. Yeah, you would have loved to see him in that shirt.
For sure. Yeah, Martin, about referees.
Yeah, well, I was just saying that obviously, players can drift from club to club and or have a long, distinguished career at one club, but refereeing don't have such a luxury, do they?
Not really. Although you and Mike have the benefit of being sponsored by Specsavers. Other three of us have got to buy our own specs. Fine. I honestly think that referees get better as they mature. And am I right in saying, Mike, that the referees have got to basically hang up their boots? Is it 50 these days? You've got to.
No. There's no age limit at all now, Dave. To be honest, guys can go on as long as they're fit enough. I mean, Crawford Allen, for example, who's just been appointed head of referees, Camden. Crawford retired, he was 50, but there's guys there at, I think 52 is the oldest at the moment, and some of the guys in England are 54, 55. So the age limit has gone. I think, yeah, they want referees younger nowadays, without doubt. I mean, roll back to 1990, Sale and Kenny Clark were the two youngest referees ever promoted, and we were 31. You've now got guys on the Premier list. I think Nick Walsh is about 25. So you've got guys who are FIFA now at 25. They want them young because it's a completely different game nowadays. The referees are effectively athletes. We did our bit. I mean, myself and Sandy Roy, we trained 4 days a week and did recovery sessions on a Sunday and things like that. But now the guys are better prepared physically, they're better prepared mentally. They record their training data in these polar watches and send it into Hampden, and they're told if they're training hard enough or they're not doing this, not doing that. It's a changed game, Dave, but it's one that I wouldn't swap for. As Billy said about the Broch, I wouldn't swap the time I had refereeing and some fantastic teammates, if you call them that, and some fantastic peers, and I went to some fantastic places and met some unbelievable names. The compliments of football,
Yeah, I'm just thinking there, gents, so what you're telling me is they introduced an age restriction. So I had to retire at 45. I then retire at 45, and then they do away with the age restriction. So am I a bit late in the day for trying for constructive dismissal? Because that sounds like a stitch up to me.
Martin, I think you would be a bit late in the day to get a kit that would fit you, a bit like myself.
That's a fair comment. I'll take that. Going back to yourself, Colin, I've seen it firsthand. The setup at Linlithgow Rose is quite phenomenal. But the thing that blew me away was when I went in the door on the left-hand side of the boardroom, on the wall, there is a glass cabinet with a Scottish Junior Cup presented to them by Colin Grant. Tell us about the junior international scene in them days, because it's in huge contrast to what it is now. There's a junior international. Well, I was going to say if there's a junior international tomorrow at Hampden, you hardly fill a place, but you'd probably get 48,000 if it was held tomorrow. But in reality, junior football at that level, whilst it draws its own crowd, nothing to what would have been in the 60s. Tell us about the whole thing that came about the international.
No, well, I was obviously playing with Linlithgow, scoring a few goals, and got picked to play at against Northern Ireland at Rugby Park, Kilmarnock, and played alongside Dixie Deans. And the funny bit of the story is that that strip that's hanging there, it was some carry on to get it, because we beat Northern Ireland 3-2, and at the end of the game, the guys wanted to keep their tops and the shirts obviously. Yeah, you knew you were getting a cap, but they wanted to keep the shirts. And this old guy for the Scottish Junior FA, he says, if you want the shirt, you'll need to pay for it. And we all said, we're not paying for it. And we all took the shirts and said, send us the invoice. And that's how I got the shirt. But obviously, proud as anything to represent your country. And it was a terrific occasion, and one I'll never forget anyway, you know.
So we've got a bit of an international theme going on here tonight, have we, Dave?
I think so. I think everybody on the screen, all five of us, have got an international connection, haven't we? I think Billy, am I right that you played a semi-professional international for Scotland?
No, I was selected once for that. That was back in 99. I was selected. Well, it was discussed about going. Never got the selection. It was back when Charlie he was involved in that, and he asked him what my availability was, and that was the year my first son was born, Lewis. So that was coming up. That it was all going to clash together, and it really wasn't a great time for me. But I was really keen to be involved in that because it was kudos. It was brilliant to be involved in it. But as it turns out, I think about March time I had hurt my back against Keith, and I ended up getting surgery in about the summer of that year. So for two reasons, I wouldn't have made it. I was effectively out of the game for 5 months, and that was the only real injury I had. But it was my son's birth that kind of really scuppered the opportunity, and it never came along after that. But the guys like Michael, Derek, and Ian Murray that were involved, they just lapped it up. They thought it was fantastic, and it's great because, I mean, from the junior point of view, these guys were playing against some serious opposition because the semi-pro Highland League guys were playing against conference teams, the guys from England, and competing very well. And that's a cut way above what the Highland League was doing. They never sold themselves short. They always done really well in it.
Right. Oh well, there we go. So you didn't quite get the pull on the Scotland shirt. I'm just going to get the elephant in the room out of the way because people that I've spoken to in the last week can't believe that we did a whole show last week and never mentioned the fact that Dave Edwards was an international goalkeeper. Dave, would you like to enlighten us?
That was only schoolboy international, Martin, but
doesn't matter.
We beat 1971. We beat Wales 3-2 down in Cardiff, and then at Airdrie in May 71. I was in goal. Leishman was my centre half. Willie Pettigrew was centre forward, and a guy Brian McLaughlin, who played for Motherwell, Ayr United, and Celtic, was midfield. And we drew 0-0 with a very strong England team in front of 18,000 at Broomfield Park. Sadly, no longer there in Airdrie, but it was a great occasion and certainly the highlight of my career.
And then from a refereeing point of view, Mike, you know, European games, international matches?
Yeah, I had a few, Martin. The first international match was actually Cyprus, Russia in '92. And I always remember there's two stories on it, but the first one being that it was the first international in Cyprus after Scotland had drawn there. And Dave, you'll probably remember Richard Gough scored the equaliser about 9 minutes into stoppage time, which was unheard of in those days. And the referee had been attacked. And cut a long story short, I think the only referee that volunteered to go was Andrew Waddle for the next game. And I went to Andrew Waddle and Les Morton, and we were having a walk along the beach the afternoon of the game, and I had a look up and I spotted this guy who was bobbing up and down amongst the sand dunes, and I says to Les, I'm sure we're being followed here, and he's like, no, it'll be fine. And we went out for dinner afterwards that evening, and the same guy was sitting in a car outside the restaurant, and Les, in his typical Glasgow demeanour, knocked in the window of the car and said to the boy, "Are you the police?" And the guy went like that and opened his jacket and showed a gun, and he turned around and went expletive. He says, "Mike, he's the police." So that was one. But the other story there, Martin, was I was in the airport and this guy tapped me in the back and he says, "Now, what are you doing here, Mr. Pocock?" with his best Bluetooth accent. And it was actually the guy who owned Scruggy's Printer in Peterhead. He had a house out in Cyprus, and he'd watched the international the day before, and he was in the same flight home as us. But yeah, I had 5 or 6 internationals: Iceland, Russia with Les Mortimer, Faroe, Belgium with Les Mortimer, and Luxembourg, Greece with Andrew Waddle. So proud time when you, although it's not your own national anthem, when you go out before the game and you line up, you say the same yourself, I think, Martin, for your game, and it makes the hairs in the back of your neck stand on end when you hear those national anthems, you know.
For sure, definitely. I don't want to dwell on myself, but I think I said to you before, you know, you're standing there for the national anthems, and I was fortunate. I was at Germany, Switzerland, and Willie Young was a referee. And Willie had said to me, every opportunity you get, try and suck in the atmosphere, and you're standing there for 2 foreign national anthems. And all I could think on, Dave, was, God, there's not many Rotters boys doing this. Yeah, so yeah, huge honour and very emotional, very emotional. And unfortunately, referees don't get cups, Dave. I got a letter. I've got a letter just saying that I'd been selected. That's all. And whatever souvenirs we could get along the day. Funnily enough, to I understand, at the end of these games, guys, as Mike will tell you, you get taken into a room and there's representatives from both countries, all the match officials, the 4th official, and the FIFA or UEFA observer. And there's a gift handover procedure where the host country give each club official a gift and the observer, and likewise for the visiting country. And because we were in Germany, the president of the German FA was a gentleman by the name of Braun. He had an electrical company in Glasgow, and it was a polite thing. We're told you accept the gift and you take it away. You didn't open it until you get back to your hotel room. And this will make you laugh because my gift was a hairdryer.
I'll tell you what my one was from that night in Cyprus, and I got to say I'm a wee bit naive and I was going to wait to open it in the dressing room, and Andrew said, no, wait until you get back to the hotel. My gift was an electric pencil sharpener stroke sellotape pencil with the Cypriot logo on it.
I think they're based on performance, to be quite honest. That's not Colin, you also had a European career with Hibs. You know, you must have had some great nights in the competitions. Explain to the viewers a wee bit, the competitions, slightly different names then to what they are now.
Aye, it was called the Intercities Fairs Cup at that time during the 60s, 70s. I think it's changed over now to the Europa League, as I say. And Hibs always used to finish maybe 3rd or 4th in the league, and obviously they were invited to play. You got an invite into these things then. And I was lucky enough to play, and we played against Porto in Portugal, and then home game, beat them, and we played against Napoli. And this will please Billy. I played against Dino Zoff, Billy. I don't. He wasn't a bad goalkeeper, if you remember, for the Italians. And then we played Lokomotiv Leipzig, and I was lucky enough to score the away goal. And my mother was absolutely distraught when she picked up the paper the following morning. It was, I can't remember the name of the paper. It was Germans blitzed by Grant. She thought she was going to start another world war with that headline. But no, heady days for Hibs, and they qualified quite regularly for that competition. They once got beat on the last minute goal against Leeds United. They were beating Leeds United 1-0 at home, and got, after drawing 1-1 down there. and goal in the last minute to go into the semi-final. So that was the furthest they got. But heady days, Change days.
European appointments, Mike?
I had a few, Martin. In fact, one that will strike a chord with the Highland League. One of the games that I went to, although I was in Eindhoven for Eindhoven Porto, I was also in Eindhoven with Jim McCluskey for Eindhoven against Vilnius Zalgiris, and one of the assistant referees that night was the ex-Brook player Alfie Smith. And Billy, as you'll know, Alfie was he liked to drink, shall we say. And, you had to drag Alfie out of the boardroom any time he was in a line to you at Fraserburgh. You couldn't get him out.
Allegedly.
That night after the game, Alfie was making the best of his trip, and he kept falling asleep. And we told him if he fell properly asleep, we would shave his beard off. And all that happened for the remaining 5 hours we were on the go that night was every 10 minutes he was up washing his face, and he had a drink and went and washed his face and kept himself awake. But fantastic memories there. And I was with Willie Young, same as yourself. I was in Tromsø with Willie at a match, and actually Arnold Stavrum, who ended up at Pocock, was playing for Tromsø's opposition that night. I think it was Molde from Denmark that they were playing that night. I was in Kiev with Brian McGinley, Austria with Jim McCluskey, the late Jim McCluskey. So some fantastic. The Georgian one, Dynamo Tbilisi, that was another unforgettable trip. Dougal was a referee that, and flew Georgian Airlines, and believe me, if you ever get a chance to fly Georgian Airlines, guys, don't. It was just something you'd never seen, Martin. An incredible experience. Every one of them had, in their own way, met a lot of people, a lot of very interesting people who you then meet. Well, you know, we met one of them, if you remember, up in Aviemore in 1999, and it's incredible where guys who you've met along the way. Well, here you go. That's the nearest you'll ever get to a UEFA badge, Martin.
So you want to explain about how we got that? I never had the balls to wear this at referees training or anything like that, because you know how you'd have your arse ripped out of you for going about with a UEFA badge, and I only just dug it out yesterday when I was looking for something else, to be quite honest. Actually, my head's obviously got slightly bigger, it'll fit me now. You went to tell the guys a wee bit about that tournament and what went on as far as, because believe it or not, you know, referees have a great sense of humour as well, and are pranksters, just as much as players are in their day. So maybe you went to enlighten the guys about the European, I think it was under 18.
Under 18s, under 18 European Championship qualifier, Martin, wasn't it? Qualifiers. Yeah. And I think there was, if I remember correctly, there was 2 bases in Scotland. One was the Dunblane Hydro, and one was the Hilton at Aviemore at Colin Bridge.
Colin Bridge,
Colin Bridge. We drew the shots and ended up in Colin Bridge. And I think we were there for 2 weeks. It
was a tough old job, but somebody had to do it, Mike. Yeah.
There was the 2 of us. There was 1, 2, 3 from the SFA, and there was Ross Jack and Danny McDonald, who were the team liaison, and we were we chauffeured the referees about and took them to the games were played at Calais and at Ross County.
I was actually with the Ukrainian team. That's why I looked after the Ukrainians. Yeah. But Danny had a slightly tougher job in his hands.
He was, well, to be fair, Martin, that was one of the guys I talked about, because I had actually met one of the coaches for the Ukrainian team when I'd been in Kiev with Brian McGinley. And the guy, if you remember, said, "I know you." And we couldn't think, but it came back to us eventually that it was in Kiev. But to be fair, I mean, we got to know Ross and Danny very, very well that week, and you couldn't do anything. You couldn't get away for your breakfast. If you walked away for your breakfast, you came back, it was all eating, just stupid little things.
I mean, and didn't look at me when the breakfast was all eaten, because I was quite slim in them days.
I got a story on Willie Young, Mike. Going back a bit there, remember we were the Scottish Cup tie, we played Whitehall Welfare, the infamous one that we drew, and then if we'd beaten, we would have drawn Celtic, and then we went on to play Celtic. But in the first game, Willie was refereeing that game, and at that time they had no lights, and it was a 1:30 kickoff, and it was a really horrible day. It was really heavy. The game was very lucky to go on, but it went on, it did, and Willie was obviously in charge that afternoon, and it was must have been about 5 minutes to go or something like that, and we threw, and I ball went out, and I pulled up like I was injured, and Willie obviously sussed out that I was at it and tried to waste time. So like 5 minutes to go, and we were winning 2-1 at this point, and Willie comes in about and he says, "My boy," he says, "I think you better get back up," he says, "because we're running out of light here." He says, "And you wouldn't be the reason for me abandoning this game, you guys winning 2-1, would you?" Okay. So up to gets, and away I went, and like tail between my legs, like, and we ended up drawing it anyway. So we lost a goal anyway. So it didn't really matter. But it was just that bit of character he was, and that's fair refereeing point of view. You touched earlier on about young guys, and yeah, promoting youth's brilliant. But for me, there's no characters to there like yourself, like Sandy Roy, Brian Christie, the late Brian Christie, Stephen Duff, and all these lads. You could talk to these guys. And I don't know whether that's been, I don't know if that's coached out of these guys in the training or what it is, but that bit of touch doesn't seem to be there. But it's just a feeling. I think I would struggle to play now, to be honest with you.
Oh, Billy, I think any goalkeeper would struggle to play in the modern game, because I was a goalkeeper as well. But I mean, I certainly couldn't relate back to 40 years ago. I couldn't have done what the goalkeeper has to do now in terms of being a ball player and all the rest of it. But I think on that score, I would defend the current crop, because we've got some really good youngsters. Yeah, I mean, they'll learn their spurs, so to speak. But you know, some really good youngsters, some really good referees in the North East, and I think the likes of Dan McFarlane, Liam Duncan, all these guys will benefit from their time. As you mentioned, Sandy Roy. At one time there was actually 5 Cat 1 referees in Aberdeen. Sandy, myself, Alan Freeland, George Simpson, and Ian Emsley. And realistically, the Highland League is to take the credit for that, because there was so many. Well, there was the Buchan derbies, there was the Inverness derbies, there was Carl Ross County, Thistle Ross County, Elgin Rossay. Every week you pick up the Highland League, and we were refereeing games that, think about it now, Premier League games, Ross County, Cali.
Yeah.
Is now, or was a Premier League game, and we refereed them as up and coming referees. So I have to say that Highland League played a big part in my development as a referee. You know.
Big
Billy,
yeah.
That game at Whitehall Welfare, it was a dark day. It was a miserable day. I was there. Do you remember, with almost 90 minutes gone, you were winning 2-1, and a guy came up and put his headlights on in his car behind the goals, and I'm pretty sure it was that shone into your contact lenses that allowed you to lift the goal, because it really was pitch black.
It was a dark afternoon. No, it wasn't that. Certainly wasn't that. But no, disappointing after. Well, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't at the time. We didn't know what we were looking ahead of. It was only at night when the Scottish Cup draws used to be made in the evening after the first ties, and that's when we're all new in at Ellen, and that tie came through, and yeah, it was an amazing week for us not to actually get that. But yeah, very, very disappointing in the end. But Whitehill went on from there. Fantastic for them. But yeah.
Yeah. Could I throw in a couple of quick refereeing stories? Martin, you're a Rothes referee, but you weren't only referee from Rothes. There was Jimmy Holmes, there was the late Adam Marshall. the first one really that I remember, and he had got a European appointment. He was the first Rothes referee that ever got a European appointment. I was about 9 or 10 at the time. This chap went over to officiate on the line in Denmark, and he brought me back a programme, and he was the late Tom Shepherd, and what a lovely man Tom Shepherd was. And he was the first, I think, referee in Rothes that got an international appointment. And talking about the semi-professional tournaments, I was down in Swansea covering one when Charlie was the manager down in Wales when Scotland were playing, and it was a whole week. And the English referee that week, and Charlie and myself, were usually the last three in our bed at night because, you know, we were the ones that weren't really going to train the next day. And we'd had a couple of beers in the bar and we'd talk football till 1 or 2 in the morning over a couple of beers. And that referee was a guy who went on to have a really big career in England. And I think he packed up last year due to an injury, but he was the FA Cup final referee a couple of years ago, or maybe 4 or 5 years ago. A guy called Lee Probert.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah.
But Charlie and me got him off a drunk.
Yeah. You're talking about Tom Shepherd there. I don't know about now. Maybe somebody that's watching will get in touch with us through Twitter or whatever. The late Tom Shepherd, like myself, was a Land Street man. Stayed in Land Street. He departed before I came on the scene, but I understand that one time the winners of the old Speyside League and the Forest League and the Bucky League and the Elgin League, the winners of these 4 respective leagues used to play in the semi-finals and a final for the Tom Shepherd Trophy. So, and that his name was, up until maybe 10, 15 years ago, that was a trophy it was still played for. I don't know if it still is or not. I would certainly be interested to know if it is.
Can I tell you, Martin, I was in the winning side the first time the Tom Shepherd Trophy was ever played for. It was played under the lights at McKessick Park when there was a light on top of the stand and 2 at the side of the stand. It was like the light in your living room last week. It was
getting that way again, Dave.
It was exceedingly dark. And that night, I think it was maybe 2-0. Rothes Decimals beat Rothes Amateurs, and that was the first ever playing of the Tom Shepherd Cup. And it was presented by his family, I think, the year after Tom passed away. But what a lovely man he was. Yeah,
it was a great coming together of the 4 leagues, but over the years, some of these leagues have amalgamated, etc. So I'm not too sure if the trophy still played for.
Martin, there was another Rothes referee and legend, Big Robbie Ness, who was probably.
Oh, Robbie.
He was
unfortunately, we lost Robbie last year. Yeah. Unfortunately, we lost Robbie last year, but what a character! What a character!
Yeah.
In fact, Rothes in that area was quite a good hunting ground for referees over the years. I'll say that again, it was a good hunting ground for referees. It wasn't a hunting ground for good referees.
Robbie was a goalkeeper before he was a referee. Robbie Ness was a goalkeeper. He played for Rothes A, Rothes Amateurs and the Speyside Welfare for about 15 years before he became, after he finished his football career, he became a referee and a linesman. And a lovely big fella was Robbie.
Well, maybe you could settle. I don't know if it's an urban myth or no, Dave, but is there a famous incident at Rothes Amateurs when Robbie was a goalkeeper and got bundled into the back of the goals?
Yes, he was. He was bundled in. It takes a big fella to bundle Big Robbie into the back of the net. But if I remember rightly, it was Frankie Tweedy of Aberlour Villa, centre forward. Frankie had knocked him into the back of the net, and before anybody could move, Margaret, Robbie's wife, was at Frankie with her umbrella. And she was back with her umbrella. What a magical moment.
Right. Colin, going back to your Hibs days, and I know we mean to get this done at Peterhead sometime. We know that you've got this fantastic CD that you made as a video or a cine recording, as it would have been back in the 60s. Hibs went on tour to America during a time of flower power. Would that be right?
Correct. That was
Flower
before your
bad haircuts.
bad haircuts. That was before your time again, obviously.
Slightly, yeah.
Aye, they were trying to promote soccer in America, and Hibs were invited out the summer of '67, which just so happened to be the summer of flower power, and we were actually in San Francisco at one stage during this. We were away for 7 weeks, and we were based actually in Toronto in Canada, and we played home games on a Sunday in Toronto Olympic Stadium, and away games on the Wednesday. And there was Hibs, Aberdeen, and Dundee United for Scotland, and there was Stoke City, Wolves, and Sunderland for England, along with Cagliari, Italy, Edo, Holland, and various other clubs. They were trying to promote football in these days, and it was a fantastic trip, which could never have done off your own bat, sort of thing. And we played in the Houston Astrodome, the Yankee Stadium in New York, and the Dallas Rose Bowl, and they were just unbelievable. And for Stoke City, Gordon Banks was playing in goals, so that'll interest another goalkeeper, Billy, for you and Dave. Derek Dugan for Wolves, mind him. Jim Baxter was playing for Sunderland. Well, he was on the park with number 6 on. And later on, I found out that Dick Advocat was actually playing for Edo, Holland, that same tournament, but we didn't relate at that time. But obviously, when he came across to manage Rangers, there was a piece in the paper saying that he'd played against us in San Francisco for Edo or Holland. We stayed at the Royal York Hotel in Toronto, and each Sunday night there was a cabaret on, and believe it or not, and without name dropping, the Mamas and the Papas, before your time again, Martin, sorry, Mamas and the Papas, the Everly Brothers, Chuck Berry, they were all staying at the hotel, and we were like guests at the hotel, and you got into these cabarets for nothing, and met them after the show. Fantastic day, and something you could never do off the top of your, your own budget sort of thing. Fantastic trip. After about 6 or 7 weeks, the married boys were getting a bit homesick, wanting to see their families again. Of course, I was single, so was Peter Cormack, and we could have stayed there for another year and a half if you'd left. But great trip, and Hibs eventually got beat, I think by 1 point by Aberdeen. Aberdeen went on to the final.
That was Washington Whips.
Washington, Aberdeen were Washington. We were a Tornado, Toronto City, yeah.
Because obviously there was another Aberdeenshire man there for the Washington Whips, and that was the great Ali Shewan.
Aye, absolutely, yes. Yes, he was there. It was a fantastic trip, and another memory I had, you talk about me taking a video thing, and I had this old-fashioned wee camera, which I took with me, and one day I was sub against Cagliari, Italy, and I went on as sub, and I said to John Murphy, who was another sub, I says, watch the camera. However, he forgot all about it. I gets on, and with my first kick of the ball, this is no kidding, quick free kick, and we scored, and there was 15,000 at the game, and the Italians in the crowd, they invaded the pitch because Cagliari, the Italian team, were getting beat. And the game was abandoned after 84 minutes. So I had one kick of the ball, I scored a goal, and we got chased off the pitch. And it was scary, really. So, however, we're in the bus, going away, and I went, my camera. I've left my camera. And this is no kidding. The stadium was empty an hour after the game, and the camera was still lying under the bench. And I managed to get my camera back. And some of the film wouldn't have been here if it wasn't for getting the camera back, if you know what I mean. So, happy days again.
No trips to the USA with the Broch, Billy, but they were renowned for their pre-season visits. Dundee, Ireland. Did they not go to France one year?
Yeah. I wasn't there. I wasn't at France actually. You were there, Dave, weren't you? That was the year I got married again. I seem to miss all these good things. So I got married that year, so I had to miss out on that. And so yeah, there's been a few goodies, I have to say.
I think the Ireland one, Bill, am I right in saying, is it story? We were going to Ireland the Friday, I was with you at the time at the Broch, and we went to Ireland on Friday, and a guy joined us on Friday night at the hotel. In fact, he joined us for the match against Bangor, and it was former Glasgow Rangers, Brighton Hove Albion, Manchester City striker Gordon flew in and came to the game against Bangor, and on the Saturday we played Ballyclare Comrades. I think it was a 2-2 draw, and Gordon Smith, who went on to be chief executive at Glasgow Rangers and with the SFA as well, his final appearance in senior football was for the last 20 minutes of the friendly for Fraserburgh against Ballyclare Comrades. So Gordon Smith's last appearance in football was for Fraserburgh in a 2-2 draw at Ballyclare Comrades.
Wow. So, summer jollies for referees, Mike. I know there was a big connection between Aberdeen referees and was there a tournament in Dallas?
The Dallas Cup, yeah. Billy mentioned he mentioned the late Brian, Ray McNabb, Dave Fleming, Stevie Duff. There must have been 8 or 9 Aberdeen referees who regularly went to Dallas every year. In fact, I think there was a couple flew over for Brian's funeral from Dallas. Actually, they had some fantastic summers across in Dallas, and we through the football festival. Colin, I think you were involved in the festival.
Yeah, I was involved with Aberdeen at the football festival. 2 or 3 years.
We had
I played that twice actually, Mike.
You did for Link Up, Billy.
No, I was Peterhead Hexagon.
Okay.
Some of the first years, I think the first year, I wasn't in the first year. I was a non-playing member of the squad the second time they went through, because I think they got to the final and got beat for a Texas team. Right. And then the following year, I played other games, and we played against a team for Germany, MSV Munich. And one of their players went on to play for Bayern Munich, a guy by the name of Manfred Bender. I was thinking, watching this guy in the Champions League, I'm going to play against that guy. The guy was amazing. Like, he was actually the best player I think I've ever seen at that age level. There was a lot of good guys there. So, yeah, the football festival was fantastic.
Shevchenko played at the Aberdeen Football Festival for Dynamo.
I think Paul Gascoigne did as well, didn't he? He was there as well.
And actually, we even managed to get a referee from the AIFF to the Champions League final and two World Cups. We set up this through. I met a Dutch referee who came across and refereed a Scotland friendly at Pocock. Mario van der End. Sandy Roy had been his 4th official, and I met the guy. And cut a long story short, we set up a reciprocal. Referees from Holland came over every year, and there was a lad came over the first time, a very young lad. He must have only been about 18 at the time. Erwin Dijnstra was his name, and I always remember we took him out on a Wednesday night, and the Peerloon was just a wreck for the rest of the week. Christy and McNabb took him under their wing on the Wednesday night. Cut a long story short, his career changed. He then didn't become a referee. He became an assistant referee, and he joined Jon Kuiper's team. And Kuipers is still at the top of refereeing. And to this day, I've kept in touch with Erwin. And in fact, Sandy looked after the referees at Celtic for a while in the Champions League nights. And Sandy's phone rang one night. A Tuesday or a Wednesday night, and Sandy said, "I've somebody here who wants to talk to you." It was actually Erwin. He was across with Kuipers doing Celtic Barcelona. That game at Celtic beat them, and Erwin's travelled the world complimenting to it. So, he's night out with Christy and McNabb, but I think it had been Ruffles at the time in Aberdeen, and certainly the lad any harm from a refereeing perspective. He made it in with guys from Faroe, guest referees from time to time. Brian McGinley came up regularly, as did Bill Crombie. And it was a fantastic tournament. And sadly, one that's no longer with us, but it was a loss to the city,
What was that, Mike? Was that a financial thing? Or was it just what happened?
The last year that we moved it to Bulgownie, actually, from Seaton. And they rebranded it, and George Yule, who was the chairman or vice chairman of the story, became chairman of the organising committee, and he was given carte blanche to rebrand the festival, etc., etc. And we did all that, and then the following year, the budget, the council constraints, the budget was pulled, and unfortunately it fell. Well, the Dennis Law thing came on for a couple of years.
Yeah.
The problem is, Bill, as you know, that most of the clubs now, they want invitations and they want them paid for, and it just became impossible. We were trying to raise something like 70,000 pounds on, and it just became impossible, despite the great efforts of people who were on the organising committee. But a fantastic. We lived as referees, as players, sort of bonded pre-season. We used the AIFF as pre-season training. We lived in the halls of residence.
Yeah, we was the same. I mean, it was up to twice. I was a fantastic week. Just the whole week, there was so much organised for the players. It really was a fantastic week. It's something I remember.
Socially, as well as the football, Bill, you got it's a knockout competition, the five-a-sides, Colin, you were involved.
Yeah. Well, actually, did Celtic not win the last one, Mike?
Yes, and that was John Parker was up with him.
Aye.
And again, you meet people, but Tommy McIntyre is obviously still at Celtic.
Aye, and I'm sure, like I said, I'm not sure if Callum McGregor was playing and Chris McCart.
Yeah.
Aye, there you go.
Young McCart and McGregor. Aye. And there was another one who, and if you go back, I mean, David Robertson and people like that, you know, there's been a who's who over years.
Yeah, well, it's endless.
It was a fantastic tournament, and I would have argued that whilst it cost a lot of money, obviously, for the city to put on, I think arguably it was a good and great investment because, as you know, people have got a great affinity with places they've been as a youngster, etc., and will be drawn back through business or whatever, or holidays in the future, etc. And it would have been interesting to see what sort of money that actually brought in and revenue for the city. But as you say, I appreciate that. You know, I know from my sort of very limited involvement through the Aberdeenshire FA. That lots of clubs were looking for financial assistance to get across, and it was a big ask. So it's a big loss to the city. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm going to go back on to management now, and there's a man in the room that signed for Jock Stein. That's quite a boast, I would say.
As I say, it was a sort of short-lived. He was sort of short-lived as far as I was concerned. It was November of that season, 1964, that Plainland and Ludlow got signed with Jock Stein. But by the time the end of the season came, he had left for Celtic, and Bob Shankly took over. Bill Shankly's brother. He had been at Dundee, and completely different style of management. And I must say, you learn a wee bit of any manager you've played under, and I think as far as Stein was, didn't compare me with Jock Stein by any manner of means. And as Jock Stein's man management was terrific, absolutely terrific. He would laugh and joke, but when you were playing for him, you had to win. And at half time, there was a presence about him when he came in, and you knew exactly what was coming. But what a record he had, and a great man.
So, was any of those, was there a bit of cherry picking during your playing career when it came to management? Did you was there techniques and systems and ideas and just the way you conducted yourself with players? Did you use any of that from other managers when you had a management career yourself?
As I say, I tried to be fair with players, and players will tell you the worst thing. Billy will tell you this. The worst thing, anybody will tell you this. The worst thing is go up geared to play in the team on a Saturday, and he reads it, the manager reads the team out, and your name's not on it. And you just feel, you don't know how you feel. And one of my main objectives anytime I was manager, I would take the player aside, or two players aside, and tell them why they weren't playing. And I just felt that that was a good thing to do, because I had suffered for it in the past myself. And I just always felt that rather than read the team out, you would just go and say, you got a second, you'll not be playing today because. And I took that into my managerial career, and I think that stood me in good stead.
Billy, you know, you played under one manager for such a long time. What kind of character is Charlie? I mean, I know Charlie from the dugout, and you know, the kind of influence or influence he thought he had over us. But what was it like? What's the scenario with him and Brucey in the dressing room? Was it a good cop, bad cop? What was the situation there?
I mean, Charlie was brilliant. He was pretty much. It was pretty much him. He mainly done it. I mean, it wasn't so much Bruce. It was more like Brian Simmons. More latterly was more that was a good cop, bad cop sort of side of things. Charlie was pretty much. He was the guy in charge. It was his way. I said I owed my career to him. He picked me 721 times, and you guys probably heard. I mean, the amount of times he would run up and do the touchline, can you absolutely everything, because you're not coming for a cross or you're not doing this. He just wanted to make you better, and he perceived the players, persevered with players that others would have been thrown out the door. And I can name the list of that's endless of people that should or had been at other clubs would have been out the door, but he persevered with people, gave them opportunities, and in the dressing room it was that with him. He would ruin everybody. I mean, when I started, he made you feel like we were playing up against like when I came into the team start, we were a young boy playing like Martin Lyles, Billy Ucherts, Charlie Christie. Like these guys were like, he made us feel, although ability-wise we weren't on the same page as them, but he made everybody feel that you could compete with them psychologically in your head before you went out. I remember once Simon Sam, that played with us at the time, great left peg, he just dug in. He was just a hard-working midfield player. Wasn't a patch of Martin Lyle, and Charlie made him believe before he went out there that he was every bit as good as Martin Lyle, and he just absolutely run him off pitch. And it was just ability to actually make you believe you were that you were better. They were good players, but it was just to be able to compete with guys that had that edge on you. Brilliant. I mean, but I've had some bollockings off him over the years as most have, but it was but just to make you better and get the best out of you. And yeah, I've got nothing but respect for him, total respect for him.
I mean, I think the same could be said about refereeing, Mike, in respect that he would jump up and down quite a bit in the dugout, but usually, once he'd walked across I think walking across from the dugouts to the dressing rooms at Fraserburgh, that was Charlie's last hurrah. And then once he went down the tunnel and got changed and that, and came through into the boardroom as it was custom in them days, different man. And you quite often would have to agree to disagree, and he would quite often, well, saying it again from experience, he would say to me, well, I didn't agree with that. It's all about opinions. Unfortunately, it's your opinion that counts. So we'll have to live with it, and that was it. And then, would you like a drink? And that's the measure of the man.
No, he always said that he knew how far to push certain referees, and I think that was his secret, you know, because he knew wherever. I did think at the time I was in the Highland League. Yeah, of course you had run-ins with Charlie, but I don't think I ever had to put him away for the touchline, if you like, because he knew, and you know, you could just give him the finger and the look at the corner, and he knew that was that. And Billy, it's what you were saying about management, you know, and I think it's far more difficult nowadays. I mean, even in the Highlands, the referees can't hide any longer because the highlights are on every Sunday night, and the clips are, you know, the internet and all the rest of it. The guys are analysing, and yeah, we made mistakes. We made honest mistakes, as these guys do. We never saw them. You maybe read Dave Edwards' report, or the other Edwards, Morris Edwards. You read his report about it, but you never got a clip on YouTube on Sunday night that proved that you were right or proved that you were wrong. So you always knew if you got a 7 for Dave Edwards that you did a hell of it.
Martin.
Yes.
Did you ever have any run-ins with Charlie Duncan?
Would you be referring to the 19th of October 1996 by any chance?
Possibly.
Maybe Billy would like to enlighten us. What I would say is it's very unusual. And back in these days, John Grant made the appointments for the referees. The appointments didn't come from Glasgow as they do now. But it would be very unusual for a referee to be appointed to referee his hometown team or where he stayed. So situation was a wee bit different for me. And Mike, I'll tell you, we quite often got our refereeing appointments through the Sunday Post, because the Highland League appointments would be in the Sunday Post or the Press and Journal on a Monday morning, and it would just say Fraserburgh against Peterhead, M.W. Johnston, Dufftown, because I was married at the time, and my wife came from Dufftown, and we stayed in Dufftown at the start of our married life. So a lot of people hadn't made the Rothes connection, but I actually refereed Rothes 3 times, and it's probably my 3 worst games I've ever had, to be perfectly honest. Because the first time was Rothes against Forres, and I was trying so hard not to be seen to favouring Rothes. I actually favoured Forres horrendously, not intentionally, but you know, anything 50-50 went in Forres's favour. So I couldn't go back and visit my mother for about a month after that. But Billy maybe wants to enlighten you about the Rothes Fraserburgh game.
Yeah,
and I've got the press cuttings here, Billy. So
I don't need cuttings. I know. I remember it like it was yesterday. Mike, all I'll say is it was the worst refereeing decision I've seen in years. It's like shocking. The story goes. I think it was Chris Pillicus. He run across the face of me on the 18-yard box, and to this day I was nowhere near him. Over he goes, penalty kick. 3 minutes to go, winning 1-0. Penalty kick given by Mr. Johnston. So my big memory of this is I'm trailing off of the pitch, and at that time you didn't have sub goalkeepers. So it was like, so who's going to go in goals? And then Russell McBride said, Russell I think must have been 16 at the time. He's not a little now, like, but he was just a little Russell McBride then. He's standing in his goal, and I turned around and I looked, and I'm thinking I was just getting off. I was at the side, and I'm looking at it, and he's like, this guy, it's like he's like, how could he was caught in Colin Smith took the penalty, I think it was, and scored, made it 1-1. And then by the time I actually got to the tunnel, because I wasn't even up the tunnel yet, but we're doing 2-1 with 3 minutes to go. And what I didn't realise is, Martin is actually a Rothes loon. It was only after that, so I'm going in for an appeal, see if I can get that games back again.
Well, just to enlighten you, and it's not a defence. It's just fact.
There's no defence.
It's just a fact, as it were. Obviously, off you went. Penalty was scored, and I'm looking at my watch, and there's like 20 seconds to go by this time. And I always vowed in my head that some of you remember the Clive Thomas incident. Was it Brazil?
Brazil.
And took a corner, and he blew for full time as the ball made its way into the box. And of course they scored, and he disallowed a goal, and it was mayhem. So rightly or wrongly, I always, it happened very often, but I always made it policy, if somebody scored in the dying seconds of the game, there was no way I would allow them to take a centre and then blow for full time. So I always added 1 minute after that. So, like I say, I'm looking at my watch and say, well, if I blow for full time now, I'm in deep trouble for Charlie, etc. There's no way I'm getting up that tunnel alive. So I'll play a minute. Rothes will get a controversial draw. And Rothes went straight up the park for the kick-off and scored. And I'm like, I do now. But the strange thing was, there wasn't a bad reception for the dugout. I think it was a very young team that Fraserburgh had out that day. And I think Charlie had been doing a bit of experimenting. Whether it was because it was Rothers, I don't know.
I think your saving grace
Said,
was your saving grace
going up the tunnel. There was nothing said in the boardroom after the game. But as was tradition in them days, is you actually took your linesman back to the social club for a beer. So I'm in the social club, and again, nobody's saying anything. I said, well, I'll make us a reasonably quick one, and we'll go. And then a certain Dave Edwards comes in and turns to all and sundry and says, so tell me, Martin, why is it a Rothes loon born and bred is allowed to referee Rothes against Fraserburgh? Nino's finished for drinks. We're away. Gone.
Yellow card.
Thanks, Dave. I forgot.
That's a yellow card.
The story about Fraserburgh as well, with if the penalty kick incident at Fraserburgh for a certain referee was asked if it was a penalty, and he said, "Ne si, ne gi." And the Fraserburgh secretary said, "Ne gi, ne fi."
I wonder what that was.
Colin,
Hello.
Was there not a last-minute penalty incident with an old mate of mine, an old referee, Davy Simpson? I was talking to him the other night, actually. In the 1980, 40 years ago, this year, he was the linesman in the Scottish Cup final. That was Celtic beat Rangers, and the police horses invaded the pitch after the game. And Davy was in the line that day. But was there not a last-minute penalty incident between him and your club, Peterhead?
Aye. He gave a penalty against a John Siverite tackle that was the same kind of tackle as Billy Gordon's just told you about. It never touched the boy in the last minute of the game. And I went absolutely ballistic. And actually, I called him a cheat. And he reported me to the SFA.
I've got to say, guys, and I'm sure you'll back me up in this Mike, that I've always felt it a great privilege to be a referee, because if I aspired to be a hopeless player, that would have been a way above my station. I just didn't have the ability. I love my football. Suddenly refereeing was an opportunity for me to get involved, and I was very, very fortunate. Despite the odd occasion, or the regular occasion where you're upsetting players and managers, I haven't met anybody yet that bears a grudge. You're welcome to every. In fact, there was a while, Billy, when I was going to Fraserburgh to watch games on a Saturday, I was deliberately turning up 5 minutes after kick-off, so I wasn't getting invited into the boardroom, because it was getting to be a bit of an embarrassment. And it doesn't matter where you went, you were always welcomed with open arms. I would argue that doesn't happen in the Scottish League, I can assure you. I think the Highland League has been tremendous, and the juniors as well. If you appear, guy, pop in and watch Maud or Longside or any of these guys, suddenly they're come away and great to see you back again. So I take that as a huge compliment over the years, and I'm sure you'd reflect that, Mike.
Martin, the hospitality and the warmth of hospitality in other clubs. I mean, when Jock McDonald said to you at the end, "You're coming in for a drink," well, you'd no option. You had to go, because you went for a drink with him, and I reckon how I would do a hill for Kingsmill some of the times doing for a drink, because Jock's. It was legendary. Fraserburgh was the same with Jimmy Adams and the guys here. Peterhead with Bill Campbell. There was some fantastic people, and it still is. Martin, you go to any Highland League club now, and there's a welcome for anybody that's been involved.
And you'd have refereed a lot of derby games in the Highland League, Mike?
Well, the Fishermen's Derbies at Christmas were fantastic, because when the boats weren't at sea, either the Christmas Derby or the New Year Derby, it was a full house, Billy, wasn't it?
Yeah, no, I mean, we played in some massive crowds, Buchan Derbies. You say, Mike, everyone was at home. Different changed days now, because it's a different environment out there. But for the guys coming in for C. But it was a day that everybody went out, just even the guys that weren't normally at games. I remember once there was a Buchan derby we played. The day started quite a calm day, but the forecast wasn't great for the day. I think it was Stephen Duff was refereeing actually, and the wind was picking up as the day went on. We trained in the morning because obviously it was Christmas and New Year. Charlie went everybody through just to make sure everybody was okay. So the day the wind was picking up, and as the warm up came out, you could just feel the day, just the weather is closing in. So it was really a gale by 3 o'clock. Now the people were just pouring in the Bellsley. I think at kick-off time it was like when both clubs were doing really well. There was must have been about 2,000 people inside that ground. It was a horrible day. The rain sort of came on just at kick-off time. We had it on our backs. It was just horizontal. It was just a horrible day for playing football. And Ian Murray got clattered in the back. 40 minutes or something. It was an absolute stonewall penalty. Stephen Duff, he never gave it. Stevie King just wiped out Ian Murray, and everybody was up in arms. And he actually said, he says, I couldn't have gave that. But what it turns out, it was always in the head that the game had to be abandoned. The game got abandoned at half time. And if it had been 1-0 for Fraserburgh, it would have been an absolute nightmare to try and abandon it at that point, more a riot. Everybody kind of accepted it where it was, that's why it wasn't a given. It was abandoned at half time. 2,000 people in there. It was unbelievable. And there was numerous kind of examples of that. People.
Well, I refereed a Calais versus Ross County game a Wednesday night at Telford Street, and it was over 3,000. And Elgin Lossy derbies, and then I refereed the Forest Elgin, the infamous Elgin Championship match. I refereed that Friday night at Forest, and there must have been really 2,000 that game, you know, and it was a fantastic grounding from a referee point of view. It strengthened your character. You know, and Billy, you mentioned some of the young lads. You kind of speak to them. There's a different ethic now completely, and it's not just a referee player. It's a life thing.
Personality,
personality as well. But genuinely, I would say that anybody who's thinking, even coming towards the end of their playing career, if they've any thoughts about refereeing, do it because you'll love it. Martin touched on it. You know, if you're not good enough to make it a player, I went to places and saw people and refereed games that I would never ever have got near.
Yeah.
As a player, Ken.
Guys, I'm a wee bit conscious. Sorry, Dave, you want to?
No, just Billy mentioned the word personality. I was once at I think it was a recreation park, Colin. A miserable day, and I arrived quite early to cover the game. And there is the Peterhead chairman in the 6-yard box with a pitchfork. Nobody else anywhere near the pitch. Robbie Warnder. And what a character Robbie Warnder was, wasn't he?
Here we go. Well, I'll give you one story about Robbie Warnder. Robbie brought me to Peterhead, and I'm very, very grateful for that because I've had a good association with the club over the years. But I was manager and Robbie was the chairman, and every Friday night my phone would ring. Well, what's your team? And I would say, I gave him the team. And he would shout down the phone, well, that's not the team that I would pick. He'd never and clam the phone down. So I got wise to this. And of course, you never slept on a Friday night when these conversations took place because you were worried in case you would lose your job the next day, you know what I mean? So anyway, he phones on the Friday night and hi Robbie, well, what's your team? And I said, I'm going to change it up a bit. I'm going to play John Sivright as centre forward because he did well in training. What? And I said, good night, Robbie, sleep tight.
Gentlemen, I'm going to have to wind it up there purely and simply because we've really run out of time. Lots of more stories to come. We will get you back again at some point. Mike, thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for inviting me.
Colin Grant, hopefully we'll get fit back at Balmoor sooner rather than later. Billy,
thanks for Thanks.
Billy, you're an absolute legend in North Football, and you're an absolute gentleman as well. So thanks for coming along.
Thank you for the invitation, Martin.
And Dave Edwards, fellow Rothisloon, although you're the wrong side of the burn, Davey, you're a henbogger, near cock incher. Don't get folk thinking. Next week, we're going to do something completely different in respect that we're going to try and link up with a former Highland League legend from the other side of the world. So that'll be a wee test for us. But if we can cope with the 4 dice taxi rank cutting in Dave's broadcast tonight for the whole evening, or somebody's been ordering their kebab, I don't know, Ken. If we've managed to cope with that, we'll manage to cope with Arthur. I just want to finish up with some relatively good news in troubled times. A lot of folk have been asking about the wealth and health and well-being of Natty Porter.
Yeah, I was going to mention it.
I like to say Natty is on the mend. He's now getting out for a daily walk around the block. Still got a long, long way to go, but the good news is he's overcoming this horrendous disease. It's hit the world, and likewise Finlay and Alison Noble, who are both hit with this terrible disease, and they're both. Finlay's telling me that they're both on the road to recovery. So anybody out there it's suffering from this horrendous disease, good luck to you all, and hopefully we'll see you on the other side. Gentlemen, it's been fantastic having you this evening. Good luck for the remainder of this shutdown period, and hopefully we'll see you all soon. This has been an absolute pleasure, I can assure you. Thank you.